is it so hard for, well, I mean, everyone really, I guess, but women in particular to kind of give themselves that permission to do that?
Oh my gosh, if we talk about the workplace, should we talk about patriarchy? I mean, the workplace was designed for men. You know, it's been a workplace where it was set up for men. The whole ethos of how we go to work is really around a foundation of, you know, hundreds of years ago, where 100 years ago, the men were working and the women were providing at home. And the workplace needs to shift exponentially. And in many ways, COVID's been a silver lining for that, you know, in terms of more flexible working to allow us all to work differently. Flexible working used to be a woman's problem. You know, it was like, oh, she's working flexibly, she's got kids. You know, it's about adapting the workplace for all, you know, men and women, parents, mums, dads. We're all there to be able to work more flexibly and create a workplace. And I think what's happened is that women have risen up and fought for their voice in the workplace to really push against the patriarchy and have that voice and have that sense of we're making our mark on the world. And actually, you know, they shouldn't have to be fighting so hard. We should be in a place where that equilibrium of gender parity is invited and accepted. And the differences of those, you know, of gender, however you identify, is something that, you know, it should be welcome for all in the workplace so that we can all play our role and be in our best authentic self to succeed.
Yeah. So if you owned a company doing essentially whatever, you've got an office yourself, it's got however many 100 or maybe even 1,000 employees, and we go, okay, the standard setup was kind of created, you know, by men for men, other than flexible working hours, which you just touched on, what other kind of changes would you make in that business if it was yours?
That's a great question. Oh my gosh, if it was mine. I think the flexible working piece, yes, absolutely. And you're right. That is a key foundation for how we work. Also, and this is a big part about the reason why we have the modules we have in Ludo, is recognizing that we go through different stages in life. And a new term that's come into my vocabulary in the last couple of months is reproductive labor. You know, women, from the second they start their periods, begin what we're going to call now reproductive labor, where they have a cycle, they bleed every month, and they're going through that process all to create the next generation. Then they go through the menopause, where there's this whole shift of their hormonal level for them to get through then to the next stage of that journey of reproductive labor as a woman. And in many cultures, by the way, women who have gone through the menopause are seen as the elders and the wise women. You know, we should adopt that culture so much more here in the UK. So to create a workplace that recognizes that this is completely normal. No one's weird. You know, it's just this idea that, you know, if you were to say, I'm really sorry, I'm not going to be working today because I'm in terrible pain because I have endometriosis. Firstly, rarely would a woman ever say that sentence. Secondly, there'd be this like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that attitude in a workplace, because it's seen as being a bit weird or a bit taboo. For some reason, women's reproductive health has got very taboo. If you said, I've got a kidney infection, I'm going to be off, I'm in terrible pain, nobody would care. So one of the big things I would bring into that workplace is this ability to allow people, whatever they're going through, whether it's their cycle, the menopause, maternity, mental health, men and women. This is not just about women. How do we create spaces for them in the office to take time out? You know, when I was at Tapestry, we put a well-being room into our office in London, you know, and I've been out of corporate life for 3 years. So this was 3 years ago. We put it in 5 years ago. And I was so driven to put this well-being room in that could be used for somebody who wanted to meditate, take time out, you know, do whatever they wanted to do. I don't care if they sit in there and do absolutely nothing for 20 minutes, but just have a space where if you're having a hot flush or you're having a panic attack or you're having a mental health moment, you can go and sit and take that space. And I was really excited about it, really pushed for it. We got it, and it didn't get used very much. And it made me so sad. So I think being able to create spaces in companies and outwardly, overtly push permission for anyone to say what they're experiencing in their true authentic self, and for us to accept it, for me, is huge.
Lack of demand or scared to be seen using it?
Scared to be seen using it.
Just to play devil's advocate, 100% sure?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, no,
absolutely. And people were just like, oh, it's fine, I'll go and sit in the loo. I don't want a woman to be sat in the loo with the cubicle door shut if she's feeling overwhelmed and upset or she's in pain. We want to be able to create an environment and a space where she can lie down. Or, if you're, and again, not just women, if you're a man who's having an anxiety attack, or you're in a panic, how do we create a safe space for you to go and sit to, whether it's breath work or to be able to just sit and put some earphones in and listen to a guided meditation? How do we normalize this to allow everybody to get the self-care that they need? Because even if you walked around the block for an hour, or you walked outside and sat in the sun and came back in, you are going to perform so much better that afternoon in the workplace than pushing through and breaking yourself. You are not focused if you're pushing through a mental health crisis moment. You're not, and that mental health crisis could build and build and build and become something so much more. So acceptance in an office environment and in a workspace where we can all be who we truly authentically are with total acceptance, for me, is like the dream.